Greetings, everyone. I'm Jonathan Bailey from plagiarismtoday.com, and today I wanted to talk about Perfect 10. You see, if you were in copyright circles, you'd already be laughing, because that's both the joke and the punchline in those circles. Perfect 10 is a pornography company that is known in copyright circles as kind of being the lovable loser-ish. It's kind of a hard way to describe it. They're actually best known in those circles for the Perfect 10 v. Google case, which established, it was an appeals court ruling that established the thumbnails on Google image search were a fair use. It was a more narrow decision than it's actually credited as being, but it's still a very important one in modern copyright law. But that being said, they recently filed another lawsuit, this one against Tumblr. And according to this lawsuit, they have sent multiple DMCA notices to the microblogging/photoblogging service and did not get any response. And because of that, some 200 plus of their images remain on Tumblr's servers despite having supposedly sent a true and correct DMCA notice. And Perfect 10 tried something similar with Google a while back and lost that case as well. But there's a few differences between this case and the Google one that they lost, at least that I've interpreted from reading the various articles about it and from looking at the lawsuit itself. In the Google case, looking at it, I got the feeling that they were filing a lawsuit against Google. And the idea was that they were trying to say Google did not respond adequately to DMCA notices. And looking at the DMCA notices they filed, I agree that Google should have been able to act upon them and respond to them, but did not. But the flip side is I also had to kind of agree that Perfect 10 did some things with the notices I don't consider to be standard industry practice. As someone who sent hundreds of DMCA notices, I considered the notices by Perfect 10 to be odd and less helpful than I would consider ideal. Is that enough to invalidate them as DMCA notices? Well, the Ninth Circuit sure thought so, and that's where the issue is. And that's kind of what's going on with this case is, supposedly, according to Perfect 10 at least, and unfortunately the copies of the lawsuit I've seen do not have the exhibits attached, so I can't actually look at the DMCA notice yet, and I can't give you any thoughts on that. So to media coverage of this lawsuit, I'll have to hop into my Pacer account later and check it out for myself. But the bottom line here is they're claiming they did file detailed DMCA notices. They're claiming that 25 other hosts removed this content without any issue or with any problem, and that Tumblr was the only one that did not act. In fact, they didn't receive any response at all from Tumblr, according to their lawsuit. In fact, in one article, Norm Zeta, the president of Perfect 10, wondered aloud if anyone was even checking that account at Tumblr. And I have to be honest and say I've never filed a DMCA notice with Tumblr. It just hasn't come up. They're not the typical source of infringement for my clients and my work. So take that for what you will. But the bottom line there is that's one difference. The other difference is that they're filing this lawsuit in New York. And that's a pretty distinct difference because the lawsuits against Google were filed in California, which is the Ninth Circuit. These are being filed in New York, which is the Second Circuit, if I remember my circuits correctly. And the Second Circuit takes at least, well, the Ninth Circuit is well known for its very strict interpretation of what has to be in DMCA notice, taking a very strong ISP-friendly angle on it. And I suppose that Perfect 10 is probably hoping that the Second Circuit will take a slightly different approach, or maybe one that favors copyright holders a little bit more. So they might have an attack angle there as well. But the final element of this lawsuit that I find interesting, and this is a claim I'm waiting to see if Perfect 10 can truly back up, is they're claiming that Tumblr employees posted images themselves to the site as method to seed Tumblr during its early days. Now this claim might sound very familiar. Those of you who've been following the Viacom v. Google case know that's Viacom v. YouTube/Google case, I should be correct. No, that's the exact same claim Viacom is making about YouTube in its early days. They're saying that YouTube employees uploaded clips from Viacom as a means of seeding the site. So I guess we'll see how this lawsuit pans out. I'm not saying Perfect 10's going to win. Their record and reputation certainly does not hint at that. But there's definitely some key differences between this and previous Perfect 10 lawsuits, and that at least makes this one more interesting and worthwhile to watch. So I'm going to be focused on it and monitoring it, reporting on it both in this video series, the Copyright 2.0 show every Wednesday at 4 p.m. In fact, join us tonight in the chat, me and Patrick O'Keefe, 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. In the chat, it'll be at plagiarismtoday.com/podcast. Come join us, but we'll be talking about it there, and we'll be talking about it elsewhere, I'm sure, on the site. This is definitely a very relevant case. So that's all I've got right now. Obviously, brand new lawsuit. Tumblr hasn't even offered up a comment or a response. So I guess we'll have to see how this goes on and what happens with it. But until then, this is Jonathan Bailey, signing off.